Morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Deirdre.
Expectations. Is that what we're talking about today?
Yes, that's my word for today.
Mm,
Expectations. Yeah, I've been thinking about this and experiencing it. It's something I suppose that each and every person has. The thing is what happens with the expectations.
mm,
That's the thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, when it's good, but when expectations are bad, they're very bad.
yeah.
So I suppose I'll give you an example. So an employee goes for a job, they get the job. So they
Mm,
actually have very high expectations of this new job. They're excited, obviously, to get the new job and they have high expectations. On the other side, the employer is also excited to have a new employee and they also have high expectations.
mm,
So, if these expectations are not met by either
mm,
person, okay, it's possible that the brain will fog up, causing overwhelm, conflict, yeah,
mhm,
um, then the person, they can't think logically, they can't see logically on either
mm,
side, whether it's the employer or the employee. What happens then is we have a sense of hopelessness. That job
mm,
wasn't for me. Yeah, the employer, that wasn't the right person. But how do you
mm.
know what went wrong?
Yeah,
Are you aware of the expectations?
yeah.
um when What can we do about it?
Mm,
Very simple. Okay, it's like an ABC. So awareness of expectations is number one, that it actually happens. You can't escape it. It actually happens. Number two, I suppose, is be breathe, and then you
mm,
have choice. So the choice is how you react. So again, we'll go back to the employee or the employer. So they're in the situation, but they both have expectations.
mhm,
So what do? You have a choice to ask questions. When you
mhm,
ask questions, you clear this fog in the brain, yeah, and this overwhelm. So now you've gone from not logic, to logical thinking. Yeah, where it's a shared vision between the employer and the employee. So now there's engagement, there's creativity, there's a lot more excitement going on.
mm, mm. Yeah,
Um,
it really does seem though that, a lot of this is to do with being able to look at ourselves and look at what our expectations are, what they're based on, and it really does start with self-awareness, doesn't it? And then being able to communicate what we do expect and notice whether our expectations are realistic or unrealistic in the circumstances.
yes, Deirdre, and I think there's something to add there also. I suppose, where do the expectations come from? They come from past experiences or perceived perception of past
Mm,
experiences.
mm,
Yeah, so we're actually predicting what's actually going to happen
mm,
because of what happened in the past.
yeah,
However, we can change that loop and have a new beginning. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Have you heard that research about, people are actually at their happiest about a holiday just before they go on holiday because,
yeah.
they've got all the excitement, they have the expectation of how great it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be, and they haven't got there yet and found that actually it doesn't quite match up to the vision of loveliness that they had. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is that thing of understanding and managing expectations. I think that's a great term, isn't it, too?
Yes.
Because they can run away with us.
Yes, it can. And I mean, you talk about a holiday, Deirdre, that can happen with the day off. It's the anticipation of being free on a certain day. And it's like, yeah, this sense of, I'm going to be free on that day. However, it doesn't live up to the expectations. And then,
Mm,
wow, you're into hopelessness and frustration.
mm, mm,
Yeah, I'll give you a personal example. I suppose there a few weeks ago, I stood on the scales and I had very high expectations, announced to myself that I was going to have 3 pounds lost. So I stood on the scales and the scale said half a pound. And I suddenly became aware that, oh my God, it was like I was deflated,
mm,
totally deflated. No, losing half a pound was good. However, my expectation was 2 or 3 pounds.
mm,
So I was like, wow, the feeling. No, if I wasn't aware of that, that could have
mm,
stayed with me for the day.
yeah.
And I would have possibly projected that onto other people for the day or maybe a few days.
Mm,
However, I was able to engage with it and say, okay, Margaret, this is realistic. What is it that you need to do now? So I suppose awareness is the key. We
Yeah.
can't get rid of them, they're there.
Mm.
The thing is, when we do engage and we do ask questions, the clarity, I suppose, and the creativity that comes is like a reward. It's
Yeah.
like a reward afterwards. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. You know, that the
Mm,
digging into it and looking for the clarity.
mm.
That actually it does equip us better to go out and do the things that we need to do to,
Yes.
to show up more.
Hmm.
I guess with a greater poise. Maybe that's a word for this. Than when we go with this kind of thing that's creating an imbalance underneath it for us. Mm.
Or as I
Yeah.
suppose Eckhart Tolle says, the presence of now, being in the now,
Yeah.
and not having in it, being open to whatever
Mm.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also being aware of expectations as they happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to finish up, what I would love to
Hmm.
say is to remind, I love this ABC model, by the way. So
Hmm.
awareness, breathe, and then choose. So notice what's going on, take that breath to give you pause, and then make your choice. It's so helpful. And, it doesn't matter whether you are in a situation with a client or a colleague or a child, all of these situations can benefit from actually using that little model. And it's ABC. So easy to remember, right?
Yep.
So, thank you so much, Margaret, for sharing both the professional and the personal on that. And I would love to encourage anyone watching to go and have a look at our Neurodevelopment Institute website. That's neurodevelopmentinstitute.com. And you'll see the project that we're running to raise funds for humanitarian aid. So, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we'll do it again soon.